Bittersweet by L00 Anytunes. I want to know what is Mr. Watson's room number, I asked for the billionth time. Nani? The receptionist replied for the gazillionth time. I, Charlotte Ambers, am at a 5-star hotel looking for my runaway grandfather. Well, maybe not really the runaway part, but hey, my Gramps has not been home for a month. As his granddaughter, I have every single right to hunt him down and, if needed, frog march him back to England. Look, I'm not being bossy or anything, but my Gramps is like ancient, and it's about time he retired. Not a time for him to travel around the world bringing baddies to justice. I mean, the world won't collapse just because Gramps stopped working, right? It's not like he's Powerpuff Girls. Speaking of the devil, here comes my Gramps. I was lost in my thoughts when a bellboy's voice broke my trance. The bellboy was greeting my Gramps, who was wearing a trench coat. God, that man must seriously think he's Sherlock or something. I quickly followed my Gramps across the hall and towards the lift. I tapped him on the shoulders and caught his attention. Oh my, whatever brought my favorite granddaughter to Japan? Yeah, cut this crap. I'm your only granddaughter, and you are coming home with me this very second. Watery sighed. It's not going to be easy persuading his dear granddaughter to let him be and go back home herself. Watery motioned for me to follow him into the lift. Oh well, I might as well go check out the suite since I'm already here. My Gramps only books suites, no hotel rooms. Rich old man, that's what my Gramps is. Before I even realized, we had already reached the highest level of the hotel. I followed Gramps out of the lift and to room 134. He knocked on the door 7 times in a da-da-da-da-da-da-da sequence. How cliché. I can't resist the primal urge inside me to roll my eyes. My Gramps then proceeded on to fish out the room key from one of his many pockets and unlocked the door. He held the door open and waited for me to get in first, just like the gentleman he's bred to be. The suite was covered in lush red carpet, and to my left was a couple of rooms. Right in front of me was a coffee table with matching sofas. Not bad, but it's still eons away from that 7-star hotel in LA. While I was exploring the suite, Gramps took off that ugly trench coat and hung it by the stand thingy at the door. He then went over to the kitchen and got me a drink. He didn't even have to ask what I wanted. He knew that I only drink Coke. Coke and nothing else. Pepsi is too sweet and not fizzy enough for my taste, and plain water is just icky. It tastes different in every country. Once, I was unlucky enough to come across a country where the tap water is muddy brown. I nearly puked. But despite everything, I still drink at least 2 cups of water before going to sleep. It clears the system and prevents pimples from popping up all over my face. Anyway, Gramps got me my Coke and lowered himself gracefully onto the sofa while I plopped myself down. What can I say? I'm dead tired. Jet lag, I suppose. It's about 5 a.m. in England right now, and normally I would already be snoring my little head off. I broke off from my train of thoughts when I heard Gramps clearing his throat. Ahem. Charlotte, I'm on a really important case right now, and I really can't afford to leave Japan. Let me guess, I said, putting an index finger to my chin and put on a fake exaggerated thinking face. It's a serial murder case where lots of people have been killed and the murderer is still out there, scot-free, right? Yes, you can put it that way, but this case is really special. The murderer, also known as Kira, kills criminals. The most important thing is that he is able to kill a person just by having their person's name and face. Kira can also control when the victim dies, their actions before they die, and even how they die. Watry explained. His beloved granddaughter might just let him stay if she realized the seriousness of the situation. To tell you the truth, I was shocked out of my skin when I heard about Kira's abilities. It's impossible for a mere human to be able to do all those things. Something must be helping him. I closed my eyes, took a sip of my Coke, and relaxed against the sofa. After some contemplation, I decided to let Gramps be. There's no way I can make him go back with me. His mouth is set in that determined frown. Oh well. Gramps, you can stay, I yelled out, but on one condition. On what condition? Get you a new Lamborghini? Gramps probed. Geez, do I really look that materialistic? I put on a hurt face at Gramps and told him that all I wanted was to stay here with him and look after him. Plus, I'd love to meet that Kira guy. He's interesting. Watry sighs again and nodded his head. There's no way to stop his granddaughter from getting what she wants. She's as stubborn as a mule and as clever as a genius. That's what she is anyway. A certified genius. His pride in joy. Watery had been looking after me ever since I was an innocent 5-year-old. My parents died in a terrorist, and they stated in their will that I was to be sent to live with another blood relative, which is Watery, since he's the only blood relative I have left. And thus, I was uprooted from my birth country, France, and replanted in England. Not that I'm complaining, of course. Gramps treated me as though I'm his real granddaughter, which is impossible, since Gramps didn't even get married in first place, and my dad sure as hell wasn't some illegitimate child. Anyway, I grinned happily at Gramps' positive response. It was so cool! I can get to help crack one of the toughest cases in history, and get to skip school. Wait, what about school? Whoops, my cover's blown. I actually skipped school to come over to look for Gramps. But then again, it's not like I need to go for lessons anyway. Not that I'm bragging or anything, but I catch up real fast. And Gramps knew that. Aw, Gramps, I'll just send my books over. You know I'll still get my distinctions without a problem, I whined. Gramps gave a little humph in response, which actually means fine in Gramps' dictionary. He then filled me in with more information on the case. Apparently, this Kira person thinks he's God and goes around upholding justice by killing off criminals all over the world. Kira has his amazing ability to control how a person dies, and normally, the criminal dies from heart attack. Kira was also suspected to be a student, and for the moment, lives in Kanto region in Japan. Gramps also told me that there are currently 7 people in the investigation team, me excluded. I was just wondering why the Japanese police force sent so little people to work on such an important case, when Gramps explained to me that there were originally many people on the Kira case, but most of them got scared and quit. In short, the investigation team we got is the brave and courageous ones left in the police force. Not bad at all. And with me here, we'll be able to solve... Charlotte, yeah? Due to safety purposes, you must go under a false name. Okay. What names do you have in mind? I inquired innocently. Glad that you asked. Now, how about Mary Jane? I once had a classmate called Mary Jane. She was one of the most and so Gramps went on yakking about dear Mary Jane. I bet she's at least a century old by now. When Gramps finally stopped to ask my opinion on the name, me, being the polite little girl I am, said, "The name sucks. Big time. Hell, I would rather be called Tinky Winky." "Fine then, you shall go by the name Tinky Winky," Gramps replied smoothly. Uh-oh. Time to use a little tack. There's no way I'm going to get myself tagged as Tinky Winky. Sighs. So much for honesty being the best policy. I did a little bootlicking and promised Gramps that I would come up with a name by the next day. "Watery, can you prepare a car for me tomorrow? I'm going to take the entrance exams." An unknown voice called out. That voice, without a doubt, came from a specimen of the male species. He is a soft-spoken person with a funny, lazy drawl and a nice voice. I could tell that I would like this guy just from his voice. I whipped my head around and saw a guy. Well, duh. I'm so lame sometimes, stating the obvious. Anyway, he gave me the impression that he's very lazy, or just that he's extremely tired. He's wearing a long-sleeved white t-shirt together with jeans. No shoes. His hair is pretty messy. It's black, by the way. But what stand out the most is his eyes. They're large and kind of owlish, or maybe panda-ish, since there's a huge eye bag under each eye. In addition, his eyes really stand out from his face due to his ridiculously pale complexion. Now that I've met him, I truly understand what the idiom "pale as a ghost" meant. Overall, he reminds me of a panda-sloth crossover. Panda, because of his white complexion and eye bags, and sloth because of the way he's standing. He slouches like an old man. Didn't anyone tell him that he really needs to straighten up? His backbone is probably of a funny angle. But still, I think he's pretty cute. "Who's she?" the mysterious boy asked. "She's Charlotte, my granddaughter. She wishes to join the investigation team, and I do believe that she'll be quite an addition to the team. Can I speak to you for a moment?" the boys asked, directing his question at me. Gramps took the cue for him to leave and went away. "Sure. What's your name anyway?" I asked. "I'm Elle." "Elle? Cool name. So, what do you want to test me on?" "What makes you think I'm going to give you a test?" Elle drawled. "'Cause you're hardly asking me out on a date, Sherlock," I replied sarcastically. But instead of getting offended, Elle's lips sort of curved into a smile smirk. I guess I amuse him. "If you come face to face with someone who might be Kira, how would you determine if he was?" "I would try to make the person say things that haven't been reported in the news, things that only Kira could know." Elle's POV. Impressive. I've already asked this question to a number of detectives, and most of them took a few minutes to think about it, but she is instantly able to think about it from the perspective Akira talking to an investigator. I have to say she's quite brilliant. End of Elle's POV. Good. I believe you'll make a good detective, Elle said, looking at me intently. So, I'm in, right? I asked excitedly. Yes. With that, the mysterious Elle walked back into the horizon. I did a little victory dance, mentally of course, and started planning what I need to do. First off, I'll need to call Mrs. Smith and get her to send my stuff over. My cute little Lambo included. There's no way I can survive without my beloved car. In addition, I don't want to travel around in Gramps' limo. It's so damn flashy.